from the Caribbean. It then was sold to another woman who used to fix hair. Next to the end of the next block used to be the Africa House. And this block here at the corner used to be City College, where the president would always be. Lived further down in the middle of the block was the African Studies Department. That was African, they want to know their African studies, and so they call it Black Studies. I don't know what the hell is black. They were African Studies. Jeffries was there then, GNB, and a few others. Most of the people there did not know they were black. They were Marxists. And we would fight because I told them, if you're a little bit black, you're as black as you could be. I know that my mother was light skinned, but I know that my father had made a mistake because at the time, the reason John and I didn't get closer, John was a friend of the Marxists. There was two groups in New York at the time, the Marxist white and the Marxist period. And I was a Garvey with exception. I didn't believe in God. Didn't believe then and don't believe now. I would do respect. If you're Muslim, if you're Hebrew, if you're Jews, why God gonna pick up one of you, a Christian, a Muslim, or a Jew, to be good to? And you both praising God, unless God is a double crosser. Anyhow, Garvey believed in God. I believe in many things he said, but certain things I didn't believe in. But John and I became very close, closer and closer from that day as we would go to Dr. Shumbo, Mr. Shumbo. And John started to become very much involved with the Marxists downtown until he became the author of the writer of Freedom Ways magazine. Freedom Ways was owned by the Marxists, not the communists. Make a distinction between them. You could be a Marxist and still not be a communist. Well, we went on. We couldn't get along at all. That time, John was alone, living at the Y. John later decided he wanted a woman that people could see him and be proud of him. He said, I'm going to marry a woman. Next thing I know, I was married to another West Indian. What was called a West Indian? That's supposed to be from the Caribbean. I said, John, how you got married? You didn't invite me. He said, oh, you know, a man needs a woman. I said, but why a West Indian? That time, I came from the West Indies myself, grew up there. But it seems a common thing. My father was married to a light-skinned girl. I know why. Because he didn't like himself. And most of us today, my light-skinned people because we don't like ourselves. The light-skinned girl, every black doctor or lawyer in Harlem had him a light-skinned girl or a white girl. But when we could get one of the white girls, the secretary, that was going on in the United States, wherever black was, throughout the Caribbean or the United States. The dark-skinned woman had no chance. She had to be exceptionally good. And many of us were ashamed to be married to somebody that was black. Ashamed. We did not want to admit it to ourselves that we had started to hate ourselves tremendously. But John didn't. John would say to me at times, we got to talk. I said, where? So we would find some restaurant and we meet and talk. So days after, John said to me one day, when we go to the Schaumburg, let us, one of us, ask to address the audience. We so did, and we were told we could not address the audience by the lady dead now. She used to be in charge of the library.
Jean Hudson.
Jean Hudson. When Jean Hudson told us we couldn't address the audience, we got very angry. And we said we wanted to give a lecture of our own. That time there was Richard Moore. And Richard Moore was from Barbados. And he had a bookstore. His bookstore was between Lennox Avenue and 7th Avenue, 125th Street.
No, 7th.
Around the corner from Mr. Moore was Brother Michaud, Elder Michaud. Elder Michaud from Brooklyn, from Philadelphia, was the owner. His brother, Mr. Michaud, took care of the store. Mrs. Brown worked in the store. On the corner was a jewelry store.
Diamond.
What?
Diamond.
Diamond bookstore. Sold more numbers than they stole jewelry. And number store. There was the biggest number store in Harlem. On the other corner, I used to speak there with Arthur Reed and a number of us, Rastikala, most of them from Jamaica. Rastikala and our sister Lucille. That made up the strength of the movement. Eloise Moore, a dark little sister, she didn't have a job, special job. Only Moore, her biggest sister, and another one was a nurse from the Bronx. There was Keith Beard, who was Mr. Intellectual. Between us, we would meet at 125th Street. Arthur Reed was the main speaker of our group, was from Jamaica. Arthur Reed was the one that decided to make a doll. Every black person in Harlem had a white doll. A white doll. Arthur Reed said, no, this is right. They got a black doll. And Arthur Reed made a black doll. Black. And you will see chip mothers pulling the thread No, don't stop there. He's crazy.